Let's be honest, everything you probably think you know about the most powerful Avenger is wrong. While most people point to Captain Marvel and her cosmic might, there's another hero whose power is so huge, literally breaks the rules of reality itself. So today, we're finally settling the score and answering one of the biggest Marvel Comics debates. In a no-holds-barred fight, who wins, Scarlet Witch or Captain Marvel? This is the argument that has launched 1,000 comic shop debates. On one side, you have Carol Danvers, the cosmic powerhouse, the flying brick, the engine of destruction. On the other, you have Wanda Maximoff, the nexus of magic, the reality-warping force of nature. Both are Avengers, both are heroes, and both have saved the world more times than we can count. But their powers couldn't be more different. They operate on completely separate planes of existence. So forget who has the better costume, or who you like more. This is a breakdown based on the evidence from the comics, their powers, their wildest feats, and the weaknesses that could be their undoing. We're going to analyze every advantage and see who would really walk away from this fight. So grab your comics, because we're about to settle this Marvel mashup. Section 1. The breakdown. The case for Scarlet Witch. To figure out who wins, you have to understand the fighters. And we're starting with the wild card, the woman whose powers are so chaotic, they've caused some of the biggest disasters in Marvel history, the Scarlet Witch. Now, if you think you know Wanda Maximoff's origin story, I have to ask, which one? Wanda's backstory is one of the most famously tangled and retconned messes in all of comics. For decades, everyone believed she and her twin brother Pietro were the mutant children of Magneto. That origin defined them, starting as reluctant villains in his brotherhood, before becoming core members of the Avengers. But then, Marvel hit the big red retcon button. Suddenly, they weren't mutants. They were just normal kids who were experimented on by the High Evolutionary, a genetic tinkerer whose work unlocked their hidden powers and made them look like mutants. But even that wasn't the whole story. The latest origin, and the one that stuck, ties Wanda not to mutants, but to pure magic. We learned her real mother was the Scarlet Witch before her, Natalia Maximoff. Wanda was born on Mount Wundagore, a place soaked in magical energy, and more importantly, the prison of an ancient, evil god-demon named Chthon, the master of chaos magic. The day Wanda was born, Fen blessed her, marking her as a future vessel for his terrifying power. That connection is the true source of her abilities. She's not just a woman who learned magic. She's a living conduit for one of the most destructive forces in the Marvel Universe, a nexus being for all of Earth's mystical energy. So, what does that power actually do? Well, at first, it was just the power to affect probability. These were her classic hex bolts. A hex could make an enemy's gun jam, a floor suddenly get slippery, or a ceiling collapse. It was basically weaponized bad luck. But as she trained with the powerful witch Agatha Harkness, Wanda learned to tap into the real nature of her gift. Chaos magic. Chaos magic isn't like the structured, rule-based magic of Doctor Strange. In fact, Strange didn't even think it was real for a while. As Wanda herself explained it, her power lets her break the laws of physics and scientific absolutes. It's the power to look at reality and just change it. This shows up in a ton of different ways. She has telekinesis, telepathy, and powerful mind control. But her main weapon is reality warping. She can create matter from nothing, manipulate time, and fire off devastating blasts of pure magical energy. And if you want to see just what that looks like, you have to look at her greatest hits. The most famous and infamous example is House of M. After the trauma of losing her magically created children drove her to a mental breakdown, Wanda rewrote all of reality. She created a world where mutants were in charge, ruled by Magneto, and gave every other hero their deepest desire to keep them from noticing. When they finally broke the illusion, She ended the whole conflict with 3 words: no more mutants. With that whisper, she erased the powers of over 90% of the mutants on Earth, an act of genetic genocide that haunted the Marvel Universe for years. And that wasn't a one-time fluke. During Avengers vs. X-Men, she went up against members of the Phoenix 5 X-Men, who were juiced up by the nearly all-powerful Phoenix Force. She single-handedly beat a Phoenix-powered Namor, who had just wiped the floor with the entire Avengers team. She even took on a dark Phoenix-empowered Cyclops, and with help from Hope Summers, cast a spell that kicked the Phoenix Force off of Earth, declaring no more Phoenix. That shows a power level that can go toe-to-toe with a fundamental cosmic force and win. But for all this universe-shattering power, Wanda's biggest weakness has always been herself. Her mind and her emotions are the floodgates for her power. When she's stable and focused, she's almost unbeatable. But when she's grieving or afraid, her powers can spiral out of control with catastrophic results. She's the definition of a glass cannon. Physically, she's just a normal human. A well-placed bullet or a surprise attack from someone fast enough could end the fight before it even starts. Her powers can create shields, but she has to be fast enough to react. That gives any opponent a tiny window to take her out. She's a goddess in a body of glass, capable of unmaking creation, but still susceptible to a broken heart. Section 2. The Breakdown. The case for Captain Marvel. All right, let's talk about the other side of the ring. Where Scarlet Witch is chaos and magic, our next fighter is all about force, order, and raw, measurable power. She's the soldier, the pilot, the cosmic guardian, Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers' origin is, thankfully, a lot more straightforward than Wanda's. She was a top-tier Air Force pilot and head of security at a secret military base when the Kree hero, Captain Mar-Vell, showed up. During a fight between Mar-Vell and his enemy, Yon-Rogg, Carol got caught in the explosion of a Kree device called the Psy-Magnetron. The energy didn't kill her. It rewrote her DNA, fusing it with Mar-Vell's Kree genes. She was reborn as a human-Kree hybrid, with human grit and Kree power. This gave her an absolutely insane set of powers. First off, she has massive superhuman strength, speed, and durability, putting her in the same class as Thor and the Hulk. She's lifted a train, punched clean through warships, and held up a falling celestial. She can fly faster than the speed of sound and cross galaxies on her own. She can survive in the vacuum of space, and has even taken a direct blast from the Power Stone and kept on fighting. But all that punching and flying is just the appetizer. Captain Marvel's signature power is energy absorption. She's basically a living battery. She can absorb almost any kind of energy, from punches to radiation to laser blasts. That energy doesn't just vanish. She metabolizes it, using it to juice up all of her other powers. The more she absorbs, the stronger and faster she gets. She can then blast that energy back out of her hands in devastating photon blasts. She once absorbed the energy from a nuclear bomb just to power herself up. This brings us to her ultimate trump card, binary. When Carol absorbs a truly massive amount of energy, she can transform into her binary form. This originally happened when she was connected to the power of a white hole. As binary, all of her powers are amplified to a cosmic, almost godlike level. She can control heat, light, radiation, and even gravity. She burns with the power of a star. Her strength becomes nearly limitless, and she can travel at the speed of light. In this form, she once reignited a dying star. Let me repeat that. She restarted a sun. Carol is a seasoned warrior who has been on the front lines of nearly every major cosmic war. She's taken on Thanos multiple times and lived. She's not just a powerhouse. She's a trained soldier and a brilliant strategist. However, she's not invincible. Her biggest weakness is tied to her greatest strength. While she can absorb a crazy amount of energy, there's a limit. If she absorbs too much, too fast, she can overload, which can knock her out cold. But her record against magic? That's a whole other, much uglier story. It is well documented in the comics that magic is a huge vulnerability for her. She can't absorb magical energy the way she can a laser beam. In fact, it's been shown to weaken and disorient her. This isn't a small problem. It's a fundamental flaw in her otherwise near-invincible power set. She's a creature of physics and science. And when she's faced with a power that exists specifically to break those laws, her greatest weapon becomes a huge liability. Act 3. The verdict and conclusion. Okay, we've broken them both down. On one side, the reality-warping Scarlet Witch, whose power is only held back by her own mind. On the other, Captain Marvel, a cosmic engine of pure force. So who actually wins? Let's play it out. The fight starts. Carol's strategy is obvious and brutal. A blitz. She uses her incredible speed to try and end this thing before Wanda can even think. It's her smartest move and her best shot. For the first few seconds of this fight, Wanda is in serious trouble. But she's used to being targeted by heavy hitters. Her instincts would kick in, throwing up an instantaneous shield of chaos magic. This isn't a wall Carol can just punch through. It's a bubble of warped reality. Carol's fist might suddenly hit solid rock it wasn't there a second ago, or the air around her might turn to molasses. Wanda's first move is just to survive, using a quick hex to neutralize Carol's speed and strength advantage. Round 2. Carol realizes a direct assault isn't working, so she backs off and unleashes her photon blasts. A storm of energy screams toward Wanda. And this right here is the moment the whole fight hinges on. Can Captain Marvel absorb chaos magic? Based on everything we've seen in the comics, the answer is a hard no. Chaos magic isn't energy. It's the power to rewrite existence. Carol trying to absorb it would be like a bucket trying to absorb the concept of water. It just doesn't work. Even worse for Carol, the opposite isn't true. Wanda's magic can absolutely mess with Carol's energy. As Carol fires her photon blasts, Wanda doesn't need to block them. She could just change them. She could turn them into a shower of harmless butterflies, or, even worse, send them right back at Carol, twice as strong. Carol's greatest weapon is now completely useless. At this point, Carol is in deep trouble. Her punches are being stopped by reality warps, and her energy blasts are a danger to herself. She has one final desperate card to play. Go binary. She pulls in all the ambient energy she can and ignites, blazing with the power of a star. Her power level goes off the charts. And this is where the difference in their powers becomes terrifyingly clear. Wanda doesn't need to match Carol's power output. She doesn't have to win a beam struggle. She just changes the rules of the game. Faced with the overwhelming power of binary, Wanda would do what she's done to cosmic forces like the Phoenix. She'd look at this blazing sun of a woman and cast a spell, not a shield, not a counterblast. It would be a simple, elegant change to the source code of reality. With a whisper, she could target the very source of Carol's power, the Kree DNA, the link from the Psy-Magnetron, and simply decide it's not real anymore. In an instant, it's over. The binary form vanishes. The cosmic power is gone. The flight, the strength, all of it erased. Carol Danvers, the Air Force pilot, falls to the ground, a normal human again, staring up at the woman who just unmade her with a few words. When one fighter is bound by the laws of physics and the other can rewrite them at will, it's not a fair fight. The winner is the Scarlet Witch. While Captain Marvel's power is immense, it exists within our physical reality. She's one of the strongest beings inside that box. But Scarlet Witch's power is to change the box itself. Captain Marvel can hit with the force of a planet, but Scarlet Witch can decide that planet never existed in the first place. The soldier, no matter how powerful, cannot defeat the storyteller. So there you have it. Based on a deep look into their comic book abilities, The win goes to the Scarlet Witch. Her reality-warping chaos magic is the ultimate trump card, and it's something Captain Marvel has no real defense against. But that's just our take. What do you think? Did we get it right? Is there a scenario where Carol's training in raw power could still pull out a win? Let us know your verdict in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you love settling these classic comic book debates, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more. Thanks for watching.